go around and introduce ourselves. I'm Jennifer Johnston, Assembly.
George Michaelis, Municipality.
Ron Henton, Municipality.
Todd Cole, Sport Engineer.
Eric Wilson, Port of Anchorage.
Doug Lader with CH Hill.
Stacy Johnson, CH Hill.
Sue Linford, Chair of the Board. Amy Dombassi, Assembly.
Bernie Hall, Assembly of Camp Steels.
Okay, the reason that we're meeting today is just to go over basically the AM that we've been working with the administration on. And I was actually hoping one of our other assembly members might be here, but basically seeing if there's anything we've missed as far as this AM that needs to be added before Tuesday night.
So if I could start, Madam Chair.
Maybe.
Story of my life.
I second that. It's not like me starting.
Jennifer, you had a couple of questions on the AM, for clarity's sake.
Right.
And I'll refer to lines, if you have it with you, line 37. And it talks about the committee will provide, the committee will be provided.
Good, yeah.
And the question was what committee, and I think Ernie is going to have someone make a friendly amendment to put in there the Enterprise Committee.
Yeah. And
the same thing on page, on the second page of that, and where it says, the line 10, this administration will work cooperatively with the committee, and basically that committee will also be designated as Enterprise Committee.
Right, and I knew that was the intent. It was more that
Just to clarify it.
Yeah.
So it's
That is,
Mr. Michaelis?
Yes.
And second, when you said was on the second page.
Well, you know
It's
what?
actually it's line
It's
7.
actually the third page, I'm sorry.
And line 7.
You know, when you get old, you have to retrain every day. Counting is one of those things you have to retrain.
Okay, so that again will be the Enterprise Committee?
Yes.
Right.
And then if I could bring up something else, if you want to discuss it now or not.
Yeah?
Bill Starr has asked a couple of questions. We got them at about 10 o'clock this morning. And I would like to have the staff go ahead and address them, but the first question is, was the draft contract and terms a basis for bidding by other parties in conjunction with the bid process prior to this award request? And I'd ask Ron to address that.
Yes, it was. It was part of the RFP. The sample contract was an attachment to the RFP.
Okay, the second question was, please explain the 5% additional compensation clause allowed on subcontracts. And Todd, do you want to address that?
It's not at all unusual to compensate the prime consultant for certain administrative costs associated with subcontracting, and it also does compensate the prime for taking on that responsibility to be responsible for the sub consultant's work. So it's very usual and customary, and it can often, I've seen it 10%, I've seen it higher than 5%.
I think the state's higher.
So we felt that was a reasonable number to arrive at.
Yeah.
And then the third question that he asked was, in the approved personnel listing, employees of another company, HDR, are not with CH2M Hill, and they are listed. If this contract is awarded, does that automatically approve a subcontract with HDR? Question 1. What is the justification for listing employees not with a primary party contractor, CH2M Hill, to fill these positions? Question 2. Why is CH2M Hill not providing the talent in-house through direct employees? So, Todd and I've asked CH2M Hill to address that, if that's okay.
I can start. It's important to know that HDR was a prime sub-consultant offered in the proposal.
Mm-hmm.
So that was actually a key component of the proposal, which becomes part of this contract. So that's why, I mean, in terms of answering the first question, yes. I mean, by virtue of approving this contract, we do approve that subcontract. What is the justification for listing employees? Well, CH2M Hill was offering HDR in the capacity of certain key positions to provide that local expertise and available expertise. CH2 certainly has folks on board that could perform the same roles, but and they can speak to this, they may not have been available or they may not have had the appropriate local expertise It's important to know that HDR is providing environmental services, so that's very customized and localized to our situation at the port, and they have a lot of experience with the Cabata project, for example, so that's very significant experience that is relevant to our project as well. And then, did I miss anything?
Well, it mentions in here, it alludes that there wasn't any employees listed by CH2M Hill.
Oh, no, there are.
There are.
Certainly employed. We only, if you look at Exhibit C, and you probably don't have a copy of the contract in front of you, but under the PMC's key personnel in Exhibit C of the contract, there's 11 personalities listed there, only 4 of which are identified as HDR employees, and they fill the roles of an environmental expertise, stakeholder management, the resident engineer, which is has a construction management role, and some customer, again, stakeholder liaison activities. So real local expertise that was part of the CH2M Hill proposal.
In my memory, 2 or 3 years ago, when Cabata was doing a great deal of research as far as the beluga, and it was thought that would be very helpful for us in the port, and HDR had that contract at the time.
HDR was under contract and may still be under contract to Cabata.
And do we get the benefit of a lot of their work that they've done?
Absolutely.
Okay. So this is another.
Reason why we dropped it. So typically, CH2M Hill, on any type of procurement RFP like this, we'll look at the scope of work very closely. We'll look at what the availability of CH2M Hill staff are, and to ensure that they have the requisite experience that the client is looking for. And in Anchorage, I think there were some very unique environmental conditions that needed to be addressed. And we wanted to be sure that we had what we felt were the best. And we wanted to bring in local resources as much as we could as well, because of the understanding of the environment.
So we can use the information gleaned from Cabata, a lot of it, as far as going forward with our permitting.
Yes, absolutely.
That's all public information.
Yeah.
We've worked closely with Cabata on a number of issues anyway.
But there'll be some significant updates that's gonna have to occur, because we're changing the philosophy as to how to build down there, and we have some unknowns out there as far as what the effects would be on the mammals, especially if we pile drive
Right.
individual piles. So that's all part of the test program and everything else that will be run under the auspices of CH2.
Is that his last question?
That's it.
So, and you will be addressing that in writing to him and
Oh,
to the
yes,
assembly?
yes, we will.
And
We just got it, so yes,
yeah.
we'll be good.
Tim?
Yeah, my question is with regards to HDR's participation. Will their participation in other meetings and so on and so forth, will it be a seamless participation, or will everything go through CH2M Hill for presentation?
Well, it'll be seamless, but CH2M Hill as the prime consultant, they are the funnel of communications. But I mean, to the public, to the customers of the port, it should be a seamless integration.
We just want to make sure we have access to the experts as well. So.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's why we made a point to list them and include them as key personnel. That's how they were offered in the proposal, so it's a key element to the contract.
And Tim, I'm not sure if you noticed, in the AM, we took the exact language out of the master agreement as far as their responsibility to stakeholders and to the assembly,
Yeah,
as far as communication.
That's good.
That was actually in the contract.
Yeah.
That was in the contract anyway.
But it's still, so it's not only does the assembly, we have it spelled out what the administration, what their responsibility and the assembly's information, but also CH2M Hill's responsibility to the assembly. Any other questions?
The only thing that I would point out that we may want to address to the body as a whole tomorrow night is, with this AM, we've addressed almost every concern that was addressed in the work session, except for a comment was made about making making the contract 3 years to 5 years.
Right.
Which actually CH2M Hill said they would work with, but when that was mentioned to Ron and Dennis, they both jumped out of their chairs and go, no, stop, period. So it might be important that the body as a whole have an understanding
Right.
of why.
And you know why, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's not CH2M Hill.
Right.
Exactly.
It's the others that propose
Right.
it's a material change,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
And we will, that question will be asked.
I thought pretty much everybody was there at that last work session when we talked about it.
You know, it's you know, it's a lot of short synapses.
Yeah, we just need to make sure that all of us simply members are aware.
Mhm.
Other than that, I think you did a great job putting the AM together. I feel you did value.
Sue, do you have any comments as far as?
Not at this time.
And so everybody's going to be there tomorrow night, and for the public, you will address what you're bringing to the table.
Okay.
And because I think that's important, that that's on record again. It was briefly in the work session, but you're here now, and you're the one point person. It'd be nice to have you, so I'll probably ask for you to come up.
Okay.
And explain that, and you might have also, it might be worthwhile having somebody from HDR,
Sure.
so we can hit all questions and concerns. Do you have any, Amy? Oh, gosh, so sad.
I read all my homework, so.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think we've got everything here. That needs to be here. So.
Motion to adjourn.
I might as well say it. The one concern I have, the big concern I have is, the problem last time, in my mind at least, and I wasn't involved deeply, just reading the newspaper, was we let the management get away from this.
Mhm.
And so I'm glad that this touches base in terms of that we can get up to speed or keep up to speed throughout the whole process and know what's going on.
And-
Not that that will solve any potential problems, but
Well-
certainly we'll be aware of what's going on.
And I think you hit the nail on the head, you know, the manager got a hit, but remember, it's the way it was organized. Because, you know, you had MARAD as the contracting entity, and their relationship was with ICRC, who was acting in the capacity of not only the general manager, the general contractor, but also acting under the capacity of the project manager, okay? And so, you know, you basically, what you've got is a fox in a hen house. Under this arrangement, we've got CH2M Hill as a project management team working directly for us, and then we also have the contracting ability, and will be contracting with either a design, build engineer, or whatever we finally get as a recommendation and that we agree to. But so both of those entities are reporting to the municipality, but CH2M Hill, on our behalf, is our representative, making sure that everything gets done, and they're responsible for developing the overall plan, the whole 9 yards, as it's outlined here. Much different than before, and remember, we didn't, the way it was constructed, set up before, the city really didn't have any oar in the water to make any changes, because we weren't a contracting entity, so.
And it obviously got out of hand, without us knowing what was
Right.
going on.
And, you know, there was nobody on the site from MARAD watching what was happening. So a lot of things, you know, it's just.
And the other thing that, at least in my perspective, because I'm a short-termer now, I have 2 more years, is that you have to look at a contract that maybe most everybody here at the table, except CH2M Hill, not going to be here. So you have to look at it for tools for whatever administration comes in and whatever assembly comes in. That, you know, if they screw up, that's whatever, but they have to have all the tools to make sure that the accountability, you know, just task orders, the fact that it's a 30-day reporting period for task orders, so you can see if things are starting to go sideways. If you get lulled away, you know, then a problem of whoever's on first, but the tools are there in place for accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're referring to the monthly meetings? we
Yeah,
have, yes,
yeah.
yeah.
No, and it's not just the administration, the assembly is, you know, it's everybody is, because this is a big project that went sideways.
And I can tell you from the board standpoint, we're gonna be proactively managing, in a lot of different ways. So we're very, very eager to keep on top of things. And
Just communication is the thing, you know, that I'm concerned with.
So-
Knowing what's going on.
I'm glad you're here, glad that you'll be here tomorrow night, and, I hope, as I said, it'd be help that somebody from HDR also answer the questions.
Yeah, absolutely, they've been very supportive all along the process,
And,
but they have on their views that needs to be covered.
That would be helpful.
Key to success.
Otherwise, if there are any questions, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to go back out in the sun.
It's a short 2-hour meeting.
My time. Thank you. Sorry, I hope everybody can go have lunch now. Can go have lunch now.